Welcome. How's everybody doing with their marketing?
I have to get published first, but I'm preparing.
Okay, well, my comment on that is that marketing begins when you start to write your novel. And I can speak from experience because I'm the worst at doing that. Everybody I've studied, I have been so swamped recently, like for the last half of year, that I haven't had an opportunity to really sit down and work on my current novel in progress, let alone get my marketing in place. So I probably need this session as much as anybody else. But everybody, first of all, does anybody here subscribe to Derek Depker's emails?
Oh, I do.
Okay. And what's the first thing he says? It's like email, email, email. That should be the foundation of your marketing. Because yeah, you can spend a fortune on ads, which may or may not work. You can do a lot. I waited 10 years before I started an email list because I thought to myself, what on earth would I have to say to my readers? I'm quite sure that nobody's interested in my boring life. I have found out so differently. Just the fact that we have written a book makes us celebrities, and people want to know about us and our lives, our little doggies, what we do. It's absolutely amazing. So number every single month, I think I harp on get your email marketing list started. However you start it. You might start out by if you don't have. Okay, Kim, do you have an email list of readers started?
I have an email list of friends and relatives and people I've associated with over the years. Um, and each time I have two photo books that have been traditionally published, and they have large fan bases. So whenever I hear from them, by email, I just add that to the list. And if I make an appearance at a convention or something, I always have a sheet where people can sign up with their email, if they want to be informed about new books coming out.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit and then we'll go into another area. And Sybil, or if Courtney ever gets hooked in, feel free to give your comments because I'm not an expert at marketing. I want that to be clear. But I am becoming an expert at the email marketing. So, how does a person start to build their email list when they haven't even published a book? There's a lot of ways that you can do that. Okay, first of all, Kim, do you have a lead magnet for the books that will be published?
I'm not sure what a lead magnet is.
Okay, a lead magnet could be a lot of different things. It could be a chapter that was deleted from the books by the editor. It could be a prequel to one of your primary characters. It could be insights on scenes that you have included that stuff that you did not include in that scene. I remember my first novel I had, it's historical, and there was a piece of history that I just found fascinating. I wrote a chapter about that. My editor said to me, how does this move the story forward? I said, it doesn't, but it's just fascinating. And she said, cut it, which I did. And at that time, I was not very bright. I did not keep it. I can't even remember what it was. But that would have been a perfect lead magnet. I am putting together a lead magnet for that novel right now that has to do with the parents of my primary characters. So it can be a lot of things. It could be a short story that is an example of the type of writing that you do. Technically, it should be somehow tied to the novel. 7,500 words, 1,000 words, 10,000 words, somewhere in there. You give it away free in exchange for an email address. So you would want to have a landing page where they give their name and their email address before they can get the download. Okay, that's what, in a short thing of what a lead magnet is. It could even be a video of you talking about your books. You know, what inspired you to write the books. It can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be a PDF or an ebook. It can be a lot of different things. So, but it should somehow be connected to the book. That gets them on your email list. So an idea of how do you find some of these people in the first place? Well, you know, if you go on to Facebook, there are gazillions of groups for romance. And, you know, so there's probably one particular about the time periods that you have. You could go on there, become a member, start commenting, read a few other things, offer your lead magnet on those groups after you've been there for a little bit. You don't want to just join a group today and put in a lead magnet tomorrow, you know. But, you know, so there's a lot of ways that you can do that. As far as speaking engagements, you're correct about having, you know, something out there for people to sign up. Again, it really helps if you have something to give out to them, even if it's just a bookmark or something of that nature. You know, that's, you know, a bookmark that has the URL to sign up to your list or something of that nature. So, okay.
You know, can I jump in for a second, Paul, and
Please
add
do.
something? For your lead magnets, they have like two different like services, like Story Origin and BookFunnel, where you can sign up and you can find newsletters. You can do newsletter swaps. So you can put your lead magnet on another person's newsletter and they will put theirs on, you know, you put theirs on yours. And they also have group promos where they have like a bunch of authors that may be offering a lead magnet, and they'll have a landing page and people can go in. So it's like it's people build their mailing list and get pretty good results from doing the swaps or the group
Yeah.
promos.
Absolutely. And I have done swaps in the past. I've always enjoyed it. Just a second, Kim, and talking. And in fact, I was just looking at BookFunnels today because I've never used it for a long time. I avoided it because I didn't know how to download books from other people's BookFunnels to, it took me like 2 or 3 years to figure out, oh, well, you have to get this little send it to Kindle thing to put on your Kindle reader. But now that I've done that, I looked BookFunnels for the beginner is like $20 a year. Who can't afford $20 a year to be able to reach out and offer their lead magnet? So that's something I'm personally going to be looking into. I haven't looked into Story Origin yet. That is something I do want to look into. So you had a question, Kim.
Yeah, I've been putting together a website for my novels, and I've been putting, since my Katerina by Moonlight was based on Renaissance art, I have a lot of Renaissance art on my website. Should I use those when I find groups like on Facebook and stuff as a lead magnet to bring them to my website where they can sign up for my
I don't know.
list?
That's called test it and find out.
Mm.
I mean, really, a lot of marketing is testing to see what works and what doesn't work. So that might be something, you know, put a picture up and maybe ask a question about the picture that might tie back into your novel. You know, the whole thing about Mona Lisa, was Mona Lisa really, you know, his self-painting as a woman? Was it, does she have a secret? What, maybe that was her secret. I don't know. You know, questions like that, and then, you know, lead them back to your website or your newsletter. So, and another thing is that when you have a newsletter list, it's important now that you have these people on your list, don't let them forget you. Personally, I do not think that a monthly email newsletter is adequate. I think weekly is adequate. Maybe bare minimum every other week. But the truth of the matter is you get somebody on your newsletter list, they download your freebie. A month from now, they're not going to remember who you were. That's going to result in people blocking you, complaining about you, going into, you know, being a spammer. It will send your newsletters into spam rather than into their inbox, or promotions instead of their inbox. So don't let an email list get old, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Don't let it get cold. So, so Sybil, you have, did I pronounce that right?
It's Sibylla.
Sibylla. Okay.
Mhm.
So now you have used book funnels for swaps and things of that nature. Is that correct?
I've used Story Origin with book, and the thing that really helps is to have like a genre. Mine is chick lit, and so it's like you have to find a group or swap that has your, similar. And so, really nailing down your genre and saying, oh, it's suspense or it's thriller. Mine is like that ambiguous, like, oh, it's chick lit, it's women's fiction. And I didn't find what I was looking for in Book Funnel, but I found swaps in Story Origin. So, but they're both basically the same thing. But I've had more luck with Story Origin than I have with Book Funnel in terms of finding like-minded books.
Okay. So when you started out, give us an idea of how many people you had on your readers you had on your list then and how many you have on your list now.
Sure. For me, it's more about because some people will do swaps with lead magnets. I did swaps for sales to get people to my pages or to the Amazon link, as opposed to giving away a lead magnet. Because I have about 128 people on my mailing list, give or take. But I didn't do it for newsletter signups. I did it for the sales, and so I do notice like a bump in sales when I do the swaps. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
that.
And so that's two different focuses. And I think that's a wonderful thing because I mean, in a lot of ways, maybe you don't have a big email list, but you've got a buyer's email list. And buyers are more valuable than freebie seekers. Let's face it. A buyer that is somebody who has bought from you in the past is more likely to buy from you in the future. A freebie seeker might be just that. I remember years and years and years ago, I wanted to download free things from Amazon. And I always got a little bit irritated when, what do you mean this was only 10,000 words? And now I'm interested and now I want to know, but I have to buy the book? Really?
Exactly.
And that's the mindset that a lot of freebie seekers have. I got over it, fortunately. um, so another thing I learned, especially like for you, Kim, where you have two different distinct genres in your two books, is that you will probably want to have your email list segmented. There will be some people who will want to read everything that you write just because they love your writing. Then there will be people like me, where I used to read every genre in the book, in addition to nonfiction and all this kind of stuff. When I started to write romance, I really focused in on romance. And then as I progressed, I really focused in on historical romance, which is what I write. And so you will have some people who will want just your historical or just your more contemporary. And what I found out really the hard way is that it's easier to start segmenting that before you have thousands of people on your list. After you have thousands of people on your list, it's not quite so easy to segment. I mean, you can simply poll them and ask, what are you more interested in? But if you have distinct separate genres, you will probably want to do a newsletter for each one in a distinct way. Because the people that like your historical might not care anything about your contemporary and vice versa. Unless you did one newsletter that had something specific for each of them, for each of those groups, in your newsletter. And then what I would do is every other newsletter, switch which one I address first. Because sometimes people will see, oh, well, that's contemporary, I don't care, and not read down to find the historical. But if you switch it up the next one where the historical is first, then you will catch those people. That's a little bit of advice there. You have a question?
Well, my problem is that my two published books are coffee table photo books. So they bear no relation to my novels at all. So I don't know whether the fan base I have for those photo books is going to translate into romantic historical fiction.
Okay, so what you need to do is send out emails to poll them and ask them, Are you interested in finding out about the fiction that I have written? Some of them will, some of them will not. If not, keep them on a separate list and only address them about your picture books. And since I'm not familiar with your picture books, I'm presuming maybe it's the Renaissance where you put different pictures on there or whatever you do, but keep them engaged in that separately. Hi, Jennifer. Oh, you have a question.
Oh, I just wanted to comment on what you just said. And I agree. I think it's really smart to segment especially between picture books and adult fiction. But I think it's also possible to create a brand that is kind of more of an umbrella that can fit all of your like writing whims. So I had a friend advise me to call my brand Cotton Candy for the Soul, since then I can just put, if I'm going to write a fluffy Christmas romance, I can market that, but I can also write like a psychological thriller, as long as it still also has something of an escapist fiction theme. So I think then, my readers always know they're going to get something that's escapist. So just like, I think I was really lucky that somebody told me what my brand should be, but I think if everybody can I'm always going to write something that's escapist. So that's how I branded.
That's a very good point. So often when you're starting out on the author path, you don't really have a sense of what your brand is yet. And, I have 4 books out. I'm working on a 5th. I've decided after 2 contemporaries, I don't want to write contemporary. And I'm just now getting to the point of thinking, oh, I really do have a brand. I have the romance novels. I have the romance summit. I'm putting together a romance course that I've taught live before that's now going to be recorded. And so, I'm just now taking all these separate pieces and putting them together and realizing I need to start branding. So what your advice is, Jennifer, is excellent. If you can, and sometimes it takes somebody outside of you to kind of be able to see that bigger picture. So branding is important. With you, Kim, since you're going through a publisher, you might talk to your publisher about branding. They probably have something in mind for branding already. So that would be a good thing there. So I have used I have done some of my own freebie giveaways by myself. I have done some cross promotions with other authors. I have done contest giveaways using King Sumo. And what's that one that I have used sometimes? Shoot, it's a subscription service. I forget it off the top of my head. There's a free version and a paid version, and I'm going to have to see if that comes to me. I haven't used it in a while, but again, those are really good for the freebie swaps or for the paid swaps. Yes, again, Jennifer.
I just wanted to say one of my most effective ways to give away a freebie and get people signed up for my newsletter is to put a link at the back of the book. So when somebody reads all the way through the book, there's a good chance they liked it enough to keep reading it. And then I have a link that you say, if you liked this, then here's a free related content and join my newsletter because it's fun too.
Yeah. And that's a great idea. With my ebooks, I actually have a newsletter sign up in the front and in the back. The front for the people who don't get all the way to the end and the one at the end. I mean, because some people will read to the end of the book and not flip it to the next page. I have been very guilty of that myself. And it's frustrating for me when I want to find out more about an author or more about their writing and then forget to, when I get to the end, that there might be another page there. So yeah, it's good to put it at the beginning and the end. Now, do you also do that with your print books?
In the backs of my print books, I say you can join her newsletter, and then I list my website. And then I just have a place on like the upper right corner of my website that says, get this free book and join the newsletter. And I also
Okay.
have a landing page that's separate. But one quick fix that I've tried for putting my newsletter sign up is just to add it as the very next paragraph after it's like instead of putting the end, I just put thank you for reading it, like as though there were no break in pages.
Okay, that's a good
You can
idea.
you can format it any way you want if you're formatting your own ebooks.
Absolutely. Very good idea there. Great. So, does anybody else have preferred ways that they like to market? I mean, there's a lot of ways to market without going out and paying for ads. Sibylla, did you see Derek Depker's email yesterday or today? I forget about it was on anti-marketing.
I saw the email. I haven't watched. I think there's a video or something. He was like, "Oh, this author, succeeded by doing." I haven't watched it yet, but it did. The subject line caught my eye.
Right.
Anti-mark.
And he did too. He did the one, I think it was yesterday with the video, and then one today that didn't have the video, or maybe there was just a link at the very bottom. But he talked about how the woman had used the mock up books that she had. Yeah, I mean, and I have the mock up uh, program also, where you can it's so cool. You can put your own cover up there, and it puts it into all these different pictures. Maybe somebody's sitting down reading your book at the beach or with a cup of coffee and all that kind of stuff. But
Oh, Bookbrush.
pardon me.
Bookbrush, the name of the service.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
Oh, I was asking if you're using Bookbrush to create the mock-ups.
No, I use Mockup.
Oh, it's called mock-up. Okay.
Yeah, just a
I
second.
I use mock-up shots.
Right, mock-up shots. Okay, that's it. Anyway, Derek went on to say how she had done a Facebook ad, and he goes on to say you really have to know your demographic. But she did this thing of a middle-aged woman. I'm thinking 40 or 50 years old, reading a book, and it said, "It's not your daughter's mystery or thriller or whatever it was," and she was getting like a 7.45%. I can't remember if that was the click through or if that was the purchases, but I mean, it was a significant big number. You don't think 7.45 is a big number, but when you talk about click throughs and purchases, that is a big number. So that's a case of knowing your demographic, knowing how to grab attention really quickly, and then going on. Yes, Kim.
What do you think of creating like little short trailers for your book? Like
Yeah.
like movie trailers, but really
Yeah.
short, like
I think
15,
they're
20
good.
seconds.
People really like videos these days. I mean, a video is a lot easier than actually reading. I mean, we have to think about, yeah, I mean, I grew up, I think I was maybe in kindergarten or the year before kindergarten, before our household even had a TV. So versus, for the last 2 or 3 generations, from the time they're toddlers, they're kind of stuck in front of the TV and watching cartoons. Just so the parents have time to cook breakfast or dinner or whatever. And so mindset has really changed a lot, that now a video, even a 20-second video, is much faster and easier to consume than writing the same things that would take 20 minutes in a video it would take to read.
And have you heard anything about Book Talk? Because I've heard that the literary pitch part of TikTok called Book Talk gets a lot of response for little videos.
I've heard it. I've heard that is very lucrative for the authors that use it a lot. I haven't used it, so I don't have personal experience there. Anybody else have personal experience with it?
So I'm not on Book Talk because I'm not on TikTok, but I have kids that are. And I think I know my audience. Because I write Christmas romance, it's kind of Hallmark Christmas romance. And I've kind of taken a poll, and my readers are like 55 and up for the most part. And they're not on TikTok from what I can tell. So, but I do think that there's something useful to be able to decide what things go viral on TikTok. And then you could use Instagram, or Instagram, is it Reels, and Facebook stories. And then you can use that same tactic of how short they are and catchy they are and use them where your audience lives, unless you happen to know that your audience is in that younger demographic that really uses TikTok.
Let me ask you a question, Jennifer. On my last summit, I had a screenwriter who specifically does Hallmark type Christmas videos, Christmas movies. And she had asked me if I could reach out to the authors in my group to find out if any of them had Christmas novels that were of a Hallmark variety, because she was interested in maybe collaborating to make a screenplay out of that. Did you respond to that? Did you see that? Did you respond to it?
I didn't see your post about that. I'm sorry I missed it, but I'm available for that. I've done some screenwriting, and I have about 30 Christmas novels, and some of them would be great as movies and some of them would be lame as movies.
Okay.
So I would have to like see which one would catch that person's attention, and which, because you kind of have to resonate with it if you're going to do a longer project like that. So,
okay. If you would send me a private message or an email, I will be happy to refer you over to her.
oh, thank you so much. That's very generous of you. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So where were we? We were talking a little bit. I'm not familiar with Story Origin, Sabella. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Story Origin is a lot like BookFunnel, where it has several different services. They have like an author dashboard. You can create a landing page to get reviewers. So it gives you the opportunity to look at the reviewers and see what they have reviewed and how they've reviewed books, and then send them your book, or they can download your book. And then they also have the newsletter swaps, where you can sign up for people in the same genre as yours. You can say, oh, my newsletter is going out on the 16th and theirs may be going out on the 20th, and you guys agree to swap. And then they have group promos where someone will create a promo for mysteries or for holiday books, and you join the group promo. So you put the link to your book and agree to promote it. So if you have 20 people on that group promo, then all 20 people are pushing that landing page and hopefully getting traffic. And they're $10 a month, and I believe BookFunnel it's $10 a month also. I think they have a free version, but with the free versions, then you're not able to do the swaps and things like that.
Right. I looked just this morning, and they have, for beginners, they have a $20 a year. And there are some things that are and are not in that. Then for the, I guess what you'd call the intermediate, it is $100 a year. So that comes out to what, $833 a month. And then there's, if you want all of their things, it's $250 a year. So, I think those are very reasonable prices. And it just kind of like with, oh man, I wish I could remember that service that I had used. It was $20 a month. And for $20 a month, you actually got the email addresses of the people that wanted your book. If you did the free version, you got your book out there, but you had no idea who bought it or who downloaded it. And I find that that's for building an email list. That's great to pay the money, but only if you're going to be using it constantly. There's no point in paying something on a per month basis if you're only going to send something out every quarter. you know, it just increases the cost. So, you know, as far as part of a marketing plan, that's the one thing I would have to say. If you use any of these paid services, make sure that it's a consistent thing that you're doing out there. Yes, Jennifer.
Is it Prolific Works you're thinking of?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
And
used to be called something else, like Insta Freebie or something like that, but now it's
you're correct. It did used to be called InstaFreebie, and it is called Prolific Works, I think it is. Yeah. So I did not feel that paying $20 a month was worth the number of emails I got back from that. And then, although I did participate in some of the swaps that they had, I think I have been just as successful. You know, it was a one-time fee for King Sumo that I could download onto my website, and that has all the legalese and all that kind of stuff that you need to do either a swap or a giveaway contest and that kind of stuff. And it does the random drawing and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's, you know, fine with me. That's what I have used, but to tell you the truth, I haven't been using even that consistently recently. So in the Romance Dreamweavers Facebook group, if a person wants to host a swap or is looking for an author to do a swap, all you have to do is post it in there and we can get that approved. You know, I have been trying to remember to go back on there every single day. I have a virtual assistant now who does most of my posting for me, so I kind of forget to go on there every day. But you know, I can go on there. I have been going on there every day to make sure that things of this nature get approved and posted. The only reason I require approval is because I have noticed there have been some people that have wanted to just kind of spam the group, and I don't want the group spammed. You know, I don't want somebody out there. There was a new member in the group, and she offered editing services, and she wanted to send out, you know, a post every single day. And I finally told her, you know, I'm approving one a month. That's it, period. And some people want to promote the books all the time. You know, it's like, you know, we have the rule that it has to be released within the last 12 months, and then, yeah, you can promote it. But let's, you know, we want good conversations. We don't just want, you know, one thing after the other being posted there. But if you want to do a swap or are looking for somebody to do a swap with, very definitely post it there. If you're looking to grow your newsletter list, put a post in there saying, hey, you know, this is what I have. I'd like to, you know, either get on somebody's newsletter list or have people on my newsletter list. These things are great. So, okay, we have about 7 or 8 minutes left. So let's see if there's anybody else that has great ideas for promoting our romance novels. We're open to all suggestions. Okay. Yes.
I would love to hear if anybody's had any good experience with Facebook ads. I've flushed a lot of money down the drain on Facebook ads in the past, and I've just panicked and turned off my ads. And so I've decided that this next 6 months I'm going to just make myself learn how to do it. But I wonder if anybody had any specific people that they learned from that helped them better with their Facebook ads. I'm going to look at David Cochran and then I don't know who else. So I just wonder if anybody has any advice on who's the guru we should listen to.
I think Derek Depker probably has as much as anything. Is Brian Cullen, is he Facebook ads or is he Amazon ads? I think he's Amazon ads, isn't he? Yeah. Okay. We have some chats. Is everybody able to see the chats? I just want to make sure that everyone can see the chats because sometimes
Just click on chat at the bottom of your screen.
So for me, the chat was going only to the host, and it wasn't going to everyone. So
yeah, so let's see if I can get these off to everybody. For some other things that I do, I have the chat to just me. Otherwise, I'm going to have to change that, I guess, for some of these things. Okay, so Jennifer, your camera was broken, but obviously you're working now. Let's see here if I can get, all of these here. Let's see if I can paste them all here and just there. I think that went out to everybody now. Wow, I'm very impressed, Kim, on your photo books that are in the 3rd and 5th printings and have been published for over 10 years and still getting residuals. Excellent. Congratulations on that. I think we'd all love to have that true for our romance novels.
I just don't think the audience is going to translate to my Renaissance book, but they may translate to Lenswoman because it's a reimagining of my early career as a still photographer, but as a romance novel. So there may be people who've bought my photo books who would find that fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's great. Yes.
So I don't know very much about Facebook ads, as I just explained, but I've tried a lot of Amazon ads, and they've helped me sell a lot of books, especially the Christmas romance. But one thing I might suggest for Kim is to find somebody who's selling well in the subgenre that she's writing in, the Renaissance, and just find their ASIN product numbers on Amazon, and maybe like the top 5 consistently selling in the genre, and then just make an Amazon ad that targets like a sponsored product ad, and just target the products. And then her book will show up in the suggested books for people who are already buying or at least looking at those books in that subgenre. So maybe just pick 5 or 10 of the top sellers in her subgenre and only target like those ASINs.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Jennifer, because that reminds me of something I learned from one of my mentors. He has a short course it's called Train the Amazon Dragon. I think it's like $47 or something like that. Maybe it's 97, I don't remember. But he says in that course that, especially with ads or newsletters or anything of that nature, anything that you're saying, click here to find out my book, that if you just put the URL for your book in there, it may or may not show up first, but it will show all these other books too. But if you put the ASIN in there, so that when you search for just the ASIN, only your book shows up, and then click, save that URL to send out to people. So it's more targeted. And if anybody doesn't understand that, just send me a message and we'll talk about it a little bit more. I should probably do a little video on that. He has done a little video on it.
So my favorite guru for Amazon ads is actually not Brian Cohen. I feel like he does more of like a kind of a flock shot. My mom called it a flock shot. So like, just a shotgun type. So put in all like 1 zillion potential targets. But I think the guy I prefer, his theory is named Robert Ryan, and he has a book called Amazon Ads Unleashed, and he's got a good Facebook group called, I think, Ads Unleashed or something like that. And people ask pretty specific questions, and you can just kind of like scroll the group and see if anybody else has the same question you had. It's very helpful to me.
Oh, that's great information. The person I'm referring to is Ray Bram, and
good.
He's actually known as the Summit Guy, but that is one of the things that because he started out his career of launching nonfiction books for people. and then got into the summits and still works with nonfiction quite a bit. I think I was his first fiction author to learn summits from. And that was what is an ASIN? When you upload a book to Amazon in KDP Publisher, it will assign an ASIN. And don't ask me what the acronym stands for because I have no clue. I think I knew at one time, but I don't now. But if you have a book on Amazon, you can go to your publisher page or your bookshelf, I think they call it, and you can find your ASIN there. Yes, it's only for Amazon. I don't know. Well, I know that Amazon also uses an ISBN number. I have not tested to see if using an ISBN number on Amazon does the same thing. So you might test that out. Yes, Jennifer.
So a place I found that was very helpful to learn how to do Amazon ads that was really just step by step, super simple to follow, was on Dave Chesson's site called Kindlepreneur. It was such a generous thing for him to do for all of us who are like, what's going on? And he's I would say anybody who wants to learn those, and it's free, and it's Kindlepreneur, like entrepreneur, but he has the word Kindle in the front, and is really helpful.
He also recently did some blogs on the changes in keywords and categories on Amazon. And he has Publisher Rocket program, which I have, and I think it's fantastic. And he has changed that so that you can do some really deep research for keywords and categories on that. So if you don't have that program, that in my opinion is very definitely worth purchasing. If you have any intention of writing more than one book. Okay, and we're running out of time, so real quick, if anybody has anything else to say, please say it. Otherwise, we're going to have to wrap this up for today because I have, I'm going to be on a podcast today, my very first podcast, and that's pretty exciting for me. I haven't done that before, and it has nothing to do with writing. It's Kick-Ass Boomers podcast. I'm going to bear all. Literally, not literally, figuratively. So we'll see how that one goes. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. And I will get this posted up tomorrow on the Facebook. Okay. Bye-bye.